Hello, this is Priscilla with Cilla Travel, where I help you live the dream through travel. So, welcome to Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening. I know football started, and the big game's supposed to start by 7, so I'm going to be done in about 30 minutes, 29 minutes. Uh, this is Priscilla with Cilla Travel, helping you live the dream through travel. Cilla Travel is a boutique travel agency that offers premium travel planning and advisory services for active adults, women entrepreneurs, execs, professionals, and retired military. Retired military have a special place in my heart because I'm ex-Army. All right, so what I do at Cilla Travel is I help the curious traveler get the most out of their vacations by exploring more and connecting more with the local culture in the destinations that they visit. And today's topic is, are you in need of some guilt-free pleasure? And why it's okay to travel without your family. So yeah, that's a loaded topic, but hey, this is real talk here, and it's life. We need to talk about it. We just escaped a trauma, so there's a lot of things happening. There's no time to beat around the bush. Let's just get into it. So I'll be right back. Okay, this is Priscilla with Cilla Travel, helping you live the dream through travel, and I am back. Please, I am using a tool called StreamYard. It's a third-party streaming software, and if you want to make a comment, I won't be able to see your name unless you click the link in the post that grants StreamYard permission to display your profile. That means your name. Otherwise, if you make a comment or you have a question, it'll just say Facebook user. And let's say I was doing a giveaway. I wouldn't be able to know who won the giveaway with the right answer. So I just want to give you a little bit of context. So remember, click the link in the post so that I will know what your name is if you have a question or if you make a comment. So let me know who and where you are. If you don't want to say who you are, just type in the chat so I know that everybody is here and paying attention where you're watching from. So put a hashtag in front of it. I'm in Somerville, South Carolina, so I'm not going to type it, but go ahead and type in the hashtag where you're from. Go right ahead, and I'm checking. What is everybody shy? Go ahead and make a comment where you're from. Hashtag either Charleston, or Somerville, or some other place. So, all right. So I guess everybody's shy tonight. I see people watching, but all right. This is the topic for today. This is number one, right? So there are four things I'm going to talk to you about in general to address this topic here. So, um, traveling without your family, guilt free, right? And enjoying yourself. Hey, hi, Carolyn is in Maryland. Thank you, Carolyn. All right, so this is number one, even though I have some bullets down here. You know, I used to be the PowerPoint queen, but for some reason, I'm having an issue with PowerPoint. And hey, yeah, Andrea. Hey, Andrea, haven't seen you in a while, girl. Greenbelt, Maryland. She's in Maryland too, so we got two Marylandites in his house. All right, so I'm gonna start with the number one slide. I grew up in slides, doing slides, okay? So that's what I know how to do and keep myself on track. So, number one, um, things you want to consider, right? Ask yourself, number one, what are your reasons for traveling? Because there are many reasons that people want to travel. And after the pandemic, right, it's been challenging for people. So, what are your reasons for wanting to take your trip? Maybe it's because you're having a breakdown. Maybe not to the point where you're in an asylum or someplace like that, but you just need to get a break. And the past 2 years have really done a number on people. So maybe you need a break. Um, Number two, maybe it's a celebration like a retirement. I'm going to be retiring soon. Yeah, so like a retirement or maybe it's a milestone birthday. So this group is for mature people. Most of my clients are 50 plus, not all of them, but they're mature in their professional types, ex-military or retired military types. So, we know what those milestones mean, like your 50th birthday, your 60th birthday. Those are milestones. Maybe it's an anniversary that you want to celebrate, right? But then that's like not really in scope here because if it's an anniversary, um, you'll have someone with you, hopefully your spouse. But that's just an example, a celebration. Maybe it's an activity, like golfing. There are golf trips. People take golf trips. Guys go on those things all together, not just guys, women too, because there are women golfers. But men are notorious for taking their golf trips and their hunting trips. You know, maybe your trip is centered around an activity, or maybe you're doing it because you're just plain old burnout. That's not good, right? So you've got a career and you work. You've gone to college. You're raising a family. You have a husband. You have things that you do in your responsibilities in your church and your community. And continuing education. If you're a professional person and you've got a career, you're always in school. So there's always something that you have to learn to stay relevant in your chosen career, right? So you could be suffering from burnout from that. And women, especially, tend to overhelp. They extend themselves way too much and they neglect themselves. I'm putting myself in that category too. Women, we neglect ourselves. And then we don't notice that we've been neglecting ourselves until something happens, like there's a health challenge or something. Or, hey, it could happen. I didn't think it could ever happen to me, but it did happen to me. So I have some health issues myself. So I got some back, neck, and spine issues, but, I just didn't pay attention to it over the years. Comes from the military. It just happens over time. Who, go figure. The doctor said, "Oh, yeah, we expected this to happen over time." I'm like, "What? You didn't tell me?" Thanks, doc. So I could have prepared myself. Okay, or maybe you want to travel for volunteerism. Volunteerism or voluntourism is a type of travel that's really popular now. So people take mission trips. My daughter not just, but last month, not last month because it's September already, but in July, she went on a mission trip to Zambia with a group of other young people, and they helped out. The ministry that they went to visit in Zambia, they helped out. They just did things and helped out the church, the clergy with their ministry and their outreach activities. That's what they did. So they did voluntourism. So those are just some of the types of reasons why you would want to take a trip. Okay? So you want to think about that. Why are you doing it? And what I don't have down here, and I should have like emphasized that, is the pandemic. The pandemic has really, really burned a lot of people out because we've been stressed out with our kids, with our spouses, with our extended families. Families have had to like move in together. Kids have had to move home with their parents because they couldn't afford to. They lost their jobs, they went to work, and they couldn't afford to keep up their apartments. And then, you might be a grandparent. You had to help your kids with their schoolwork and things like that while they work. And then if you work and your kids are home, you've had to do that too. So it's been really stressful on people. So think about what are your reasons for your trip. Okay, so that's the first thing that you need to do. And now, what if your loved ones can't go with you on that trip? So, like right after this COVID thing, I know I am. I traveled last year in 2020 when I couldn't wait to get out. I felt like I was trapped. I was like, it was just, I just couldn't wait. I did wait until the vaccine. So I got vaccinated. And then after that, I left. I broke camp. Let's see, where did I go? My first one was to Mexico, I believe. My daughter and I went to Mexico. I took her with me. Then the second trip was France. Now that one, I went solo on that one. So that lines up with this story today. And then the following one last year, I went to Antigua. I went solo on that one too, but it was a little bit different. So that one was like a work trip in travel. Okay, so what if your loved ones can't go with you, right? So I have an adult daughter. I'm married and have an adult daughter, and my adult daughter went with me on the first trip in 2021. But the next one, she's just starting out in life. She can't afford to be taken off from work, so there are these scheduling conflicts that they might have. And my husband has his own business, so he has scheduling conflicts as well. Maybe there are some financial challenges, like in my daughter's case, um, you want to travel and you travel with your loved ones and you got to pay for each person. You know what I mean? So there are financial challenges when you want to travel. So last week we talked about not waiting until you retire to travel, but start doing it before you travel. Because your income is going to change drastically, and I advised everyone to get a financial planner, get some advice from a financial planner because I'm going through that right now. I'm planning to retire. I still work, I've got about 18 months to 2 years before I can financially do that, where it's feasible enough for me to do that. So let me know who here is retired or is planning to retire. So let me know in the comments if you've got any questions. If you need a financial planner, I know a good person to recommend to you. And the person works remotely as well. So just let me know, especially if you're a government employee like me, they make it really complicated. So just reach out if you need a financial planner. So let's say that number three on this slide is maybe your loved ones aren't ready to travel abroad, right? So like my husband, he was ready to travel, right? So a lot of people aren't ready still. They're getting there, but a lot of mature people, because you have health issues if you live long enough, right? That's what my mom used to say. You just live long enough. When we used to complain about things and mom, dad, why are you always complaining about your back or your knees or this or that? And they would be like, just live long enough. Okay, just live long enough. And a lot of people, Americans generally, are living longer, so they have a lot of issues. And we didn't notice that until the pandemic, right? So a lot of people were not ready to travel abroad, and some still aren't. Some are, but everyone is not ready to travel abroad post pandemic. So I'm going to clarify because I mostly do international travel. That's my jam. Right now, my emphasis is on Europe, that it's open. We can go there. And the dollar is equal to the euro. It's usually like $1.60 to the dollar. A dollar is worth a dollar and 60 some odd cents. I think that last year that's what it was. I was shocked last year. I was like, shucks, man. I got to be careful when I'm in the store buying, when I was in France, using my credit card or using my debit card. Credit card, debit card, whatever. I surely didn't use cash. I had a little bit of cash, but that was just a tip. But these are the things that you want to consider. What if your loved ones can't go with you, right? And another thing is you might have different interests than your loved ones. So like the trip that my daughter went on, I didn't want to. She was like, "Mom, you can go with me." I'm like, "I do not want to go with you and a bunch of 20 some odd year olds." Okay, no ma'am. No ma'am. Now, if they do one for middle-aged ladies, I'll go, but no ma'am. You just go and have at it. So, you might have differing interests, and if you're married, every 10 years your interests change, right? So, and over the course of time, your interests change. So, when our kids were younger, man, we were all about driving down to Florida because there's so much stuff for the kids to do in Florida. Now I don't even want to go to Orlando. That was our spot. I don't even want to go. There's just too many people there. And it's to me, it's just all commercialized. And I'm like, I've seen everything here. I don't want to see another mall. I don't want to see another Longhorn Steakhouse. We have too many of them here. So I'm like, I want to go someplace different now that we're older and I can afford to, I don't have to worry about my daughter. Okay, so she was the youngest. She's 24. Don't have to worry about her anymore. So um, now it's like me time. Okay, so that's another thing. All right, things to consider here. All right, and I don't know why this thing cuts off my slide every time, but it does. Now, things to consider if your spouse can't go with you, right? So now that's something you want to take pause on that one, right? You want to make sure that and consider, is your relationship on the rocks? Because if it is, you may not want to break camp if it's on the rocks and come back and the house is cleaned out. You know what I mean? You may not want to travel by yourself during that time. So, or are you in physical danger when you come back? So, there are some people who have these domestic type of um, relationships where they have domestic violence or some type of abuse in the relationship. You want to consider that if you're going. What's going to happen to you when you come back? um, these are things you want to keep in mind. So everybody is not the same, but these are things you want to think about. So I can't just say, hey, yeah, just go. Everybody's not me. Now, number three, what's going to happen if you don't go, right? Just think about that. What is going to happen if you don't go? Are you going to miss out on the trip of a lifetime? Are you maybe have starting to have some mobility issues? Are you maybe going to buy a house or something like that, or sell your house? Well, if you sell your house in this environment right now, I don't know, you might make some money now because right now it's a seller's market. But is something going on in your life where you're thinking about, okay, if I don't go, what am I going to miss out? Am I not going to get the opportunity to do this again? Maybe there's just some type, especially now there's a promotion going on. A lot of suppliers are doing promotions to promote people to come, and especially in Europe, they're lowering prices. Now, I'm going to make a caveat there. I'm not saying we have deals. I don't use the word deals because I am in a boutique travel agency, or I own a boutique travel agency, and I book trips, bucket listy type trips, dream trips that people who are in a position to take, they're not going to be in a bind if they take that dream trip. Now, of course, I do try to help you get the best value out of your trip. However, these are not budget type trips that I book. All right. Now, there's always an opportunity for suppliers to offer certain incentives for you to travel, as well as give you comps or compensate you, maybe upgrade your room, and they may very well have um, take a certain amount off of your trip, like river cruising right now in Europe, because in light of the droughts that they had, Europe had a drop off in sales for the river cruise industry anyway, not Europe itself, because they had a blockbuster season even in the midst of the drought and the heat wave that they're not used to. They had a lot of droughts, but it's been raining, so the rivers have ships are able to sail again. But for a time, certain rivers, like the Main River in Germany, that one was almost unnavigable, navigable, and people had to bus or change the route. France was able to sail, the Danube was able to sail for the most part. Um, but I believe Portugal, the Douro River had issues on that one. But river cruising right now, you can go on a luxury European trip where you're visiting multiple countries or multiple cities, and you're traveling on a boutique hotel, basically. You have luxury accommodations. They pick you up from the airport, take you to the ship. You don't have to have a giant, ridiculously long line to embark. Um, of course, it's smaller, less than 200 people on the ship. It's a more intimate experience. If you're interested in exploring, which is my specialty, exploring, getting to know the culture, and maybe taking, you're interested in art and cuisine and history and architecture and doing all the things that you may have missed out on when you were working all those years and raising your family. Now that they're grown and you have a little time and money, you could do that. So, yeah. So what's going to happen if you can't go, right? What are the consequences if you don't go? So you want to think about that. So timing, maybe there's some financial reasons why you might not be able to do it if you don't do it now, right? So you want to take these things into consideration when you're making your decisions. All right. So here we go. Uh, is it okay to go? See, it's cutting my slides off. Don't know why, but it's doing it. Is it okay to take some time off, even away from your spouse? Is it okay? Yeah, yeah, it's okay. Yeah, it is okay, okay? But remember, take a gander, take a look at, we talked about, is your marriage on the rocks or is your relationship on the rocks? You may not want to go if it's on the rocks and you come back and everything's cleaned out. But in general, yeah, it's okay, especially after your children are grown. It's actually okay. It actually gives you, the two of you, time to miss each other. And especially during the pandemic, and we have all been cooped up together, and you need a break away from each other, right? And like in the case of you having different interests, he can pursue his interests, take a trip doing that, and you can do that. If he doesn't want to come, or he's not interested, or it's going to be boring to him, you could take a trip, your own trip, take a solo trip, or travel with your besties. Just do something because life's not promised to you. That's the one thing that I learned over the past 2 years. It's not promised to you. You don't know what could happen. So if you have the dream and you have the means, I would advise you to take advantage of it. And if you're thinking about worrying about those adult children, no, just don't do it. Just don't worry about it. They can make it on their own. Trust me, they can. All right. And if it's work related, and let me tell y'all, I used to be that work related person who used to take a phone and be answering emails on the laptop. I took a laptop when we used to travel with my daughter and the kids when they were younger. I had my laptop and a phone because I was checking the emails before we went out to make sure nothing went awry. Yeah, that was me. And but it's not sustainable if you do that for year in and year out. Eventually something is going to give. So you don't want to burn yourself out because that can actually impact your health. And if it impacts your health, you may not get a chance to enjoy your retirement, or you may not get a chance to enjoy your family, or you may not get a chance to enjoy those vacations you think that you're saving up for. All right, so yeah, they will replace you. All right, so that's all I have for our the things, right? The four tips or the four questions to ask yourself. Um, are you in need of some guilt-free pleasure? And why it's okay to travel without your family, right? So it's okay to take a break. It's okay to rediscover yourself. It's okay to have different interests. It's okay. It's okay. Because if you've worked any length of time, I grew up in the boomer generation, the end of the boomer generation. But that's what was put in us. You're supposed to work, you go to college, you do your civic duty, you pay your taxes, you work for corporate America, a government agency, or a industry, CEOs, something like that. You have your retirement and then you retire. You pay off your house, you help your kids go to college. But everything's changed. Everything has changed. So, um, what are you going to do? You going to wait and try to do everything when you retire? Or are you going to at least try to do some now? You can travel some now. Just, consider that. Enjoying your life while you still have the income, because when you do retire, even if you plan, your income is not going to be the same as when you're working, right? So, Remember, number one, ask yourself why you want to travel in the first place. Consider that, you know. All right. Sometimes people want to learn something new, like me. That's me. I always want to learn something new. I always want to see something old, learn something new. It's just so interesting to me to go and see castles. Okay. So never seen a castle in real life, only seen it on TV. So it's so interesting to me. Some people like activities, sports, golfing, what have you. You could have a knitting club or you could have a line dancing club, all sorts of things that you could do and you could travel. Or put a group together and travel. Could be you and your girlfriends, girlfriends travel, that's a new thing now. Women traveling together. Also, okay, now what if your loved ones can't come with you? They can't come all of the time. So it's okay for you to be yourself. And I'm going to give you a story, right? So when I went to France last year, let me tell you something. You would think that in my mind at the time, you would think that it was some distant, remote place that there's just robbers um, on every corner. I literally panicked. I'm serious. And I don't know why. I knew it was irrational because I'm like, what happened to me? I used to be brave. I'm ex military. I traveled for work. Why are you scared? I'm serious. My heart wanted to jump out of my chest. I had to like pull it in. I had to like pull it in because I'm like, this is irrational. It's a river cruise for God's sake. And there was absolutely nothing to worry about. It's like, well, there's like H&M everywhere. My checked bag never made it. I did a H&M everywhere search on the internet, and guess what? When I was in Avignon, France, that's where the cruise started, and I just walked across the street to the Papal Palace. There's a these castles and artifacts and these buildings and chateaus. They're like in the middle of these towns. And I just found the H&M. There was a Nike store. They had makeup stores. I was able to buy makeup. Of course, I had to stop at a boutique and buy something because I'm like, I can't just come all the way to France and not buy something French, not go to H&M. But for my basics, I just went to H&M, right? So just think about that, right? I was panicked going by myself solo. And once I got past it, everything was good. Now I'm like, yeah, what was I afraid of? Why was it was the mind, because we get used to raising our kids, like I said, and just being around your family and being like the mother hen and doing all this stuff at work and doing everything for everybody. And then when it's come you're faced with yourself, it's like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. And it was okay. An ogre did not eat me in Avignon. Okay? All right. So now, if you don't have friends or family to go with you, you could take a solo trip. And if you're a little nervous, I would start with a river cruise. I'm telling you, I'm hooked on those things. I always knew I would, but I wasn't sure how it would that would work out. But I had an opportunity by the cruise line who they wanted people to start coming back, and they invited travel advisors to come and take one of their cruises. So yeah, no, it wasn't free. I went on a cruise and it was awesome. It was the best thing ever. And I did put a link to my photo album here in the post. So let me see if I can show you, if I can figure out how to do this. I'm going to share the screen. I'm clicking on it. Now I'm going to share the screen. I'm going to share Chrome tab. Yep, of course. France. There we go. All right. So, that is my album. The link is in there. I have the pictures on Flickr. You can click through. That was the Colors of Provence, Rhone River Cruise from Avignon to Lyon, um, France. So I sailed from the south of France um, up to Lyon, which is sort of northerly but not north. And then I took a train, high-speed train from Lyon to Paris and spent 3 nights there. And you can click through my images. I'm just going to go through one or two. This is the City Hall in Avignon. It's in this old Hotel de Ville building, but that I'm walking past there and I'm like, oh, that must be some old hotel where people can stay. No, it's actually the City Hall. So, these are just some of the things that I saw when I was there. I was like, this is amazing. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I can't believe I was afraid to come here. I had panic attack because I hadn't done it in so long. And that's just a view from across the street where the ship was parked, and you can see in the background that's the Papal Palace, and those are the walls. Inside the walls was the village where I found the H&M, but it just looks like some old relic, doesn't it, from the outside? But no, you go inside and there are stores. That's another view. That's me in front of Pont du Gard, and that is an ancient Roman aqueduct, a water bridge. That thing was built in first century. That was the most splendid thing that I can remember and that I saw. I was entirely fascinated by it. I walked across it. It's still there. It's still there, y'all. It still stands from first century, built in first century. Wow. Um, that's just a couple things. That's a view from underneath. We walk down to the river. Um, People just in France, the people just go to this like a national park for them, and so like in Europe, they get a lot of paid time off. They actually get time to spend with their families. It's like it was strange. They probably were like, "What is that lady staring at?" Because I was just shocked to see in the middle of the week so many people off with their kids, and they went to just people. They would like renting tubes. I didn't go all the way down because I thought I was going to fall because my leg. I had, like I said, I have some mobility issues, and I didn't have my stick to walk, so I was afraid I was going to tumble down, so I didn't go all the way down. But in there is a river, and people were like renting like floaties and like these boats, and they had their coolers, and they were just floating down the river. And people had their kids there. It was awesome. So that's Pont du Gard. That's another view underneath it. That was a marvel. That's the river there. I'm on top of Pont du Gard looking down. So you can see on the sides. That Roman aqueduct actually it goes 35 miles from the Alps down to the coastline, and it was built in the first century by hand. That's like amazing. And the thing is still standing there, right? So it took water from the mountains or the Alps to the Roman camp at the near the coast, and I can't pronounce it. I think it was Ninmes. Maybe that's the wrong name for it, but that's where it ends. You would never know, but the Romans had a really big footprint in France. You would never know that, and I would have never known that had I not actually gone there. Um, there are like Colosseums. There's a Colosseum that's still there. There are all these ancient ruins that are still there. There's a temple of Augustus and Livia that's there. I walked underneath it and around it in one of the little villages. But go check out my photo album. So this is Priscilla with Cilla Travel, and I'm not going to keep you along because I know football comes on in about half an hour here and kick off with the big game. I think it's them boys playing somebody tonight. All of you football fans out there. So, if you've got any questions at all, just put them in the chat. You can ask me. I will answer it for you, do my best to answer it for you. And if you're interested in river cruising, just reach out because river cruising is actually something it's not really well known here in the US, and people think it's for like geriatric patients. It's really not. Uh, the demographic is shifted. I actually have a client that's in his 30s. He and his wife are going to take one. So there are lots of active cruising. You can bike. They have the bikes on the ship. You can bike through this through the towns and villages of Europe. The ship doesn't leave you never leave sight of land, right? It's just a gorgeous and it's just a wonderful, wonderful way of traveling. It's calm. You don't feel the motion of the ocean at all. You're doing something constantly. For the most part, you're gone. You interact and take tours, and you can stroll. You can even explore on your own. I did that, of course. When I got to Lyon, I went to the mall, right? I went to the mall. So, you get a chance to do different things. You could visit. I actually visited a silk shop in Lyon where this guy was actually making silk that he was weaving on a loom into curtains, or it was a really thick tapestry type material. Let me see if I can show y'all that. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna get out of that. Go back to the album itself. Back to the album. And let me show you. So I've got a lot of stuff there. I've got a couple videos there. That was the Temple of Augustus and Livia. Let's see. This here. This is a guy in a silk shop.
It's just had a little.
And that's the tour guide talking. He's making silk. He actually makes the thread from a silkworm. I bought my husband a tie that he made with his hands.
I'm asking him where his granddaughter was born, and it's only La Croix.
That's awesome. That is awesome. These are the type of experiences that, I want to have. And if you like having those type of experiences, just reach out. My contact information is in the post. So I'm not going to keep you long. Like I said, this is Priscilla with Cilla Travel, helping you live the dream. Join me next Sunday. I will post later on this week what next week's topic is going to be about. But join me. If you enjoyed this video, let me know. Reach out. You can message me. My contact information is in the post. You can actually get on my calendar. Go to my website. My website is in the post. So just go, click on the link, and you'll see in the very top of the website. Just click that link and that button, and then it'll take you to a form, and you can schedule an appointment with me. So unless anybody's got any questions at all, this is Priscilla with Cilla Travel, helping you live the dream. I'm so glad that you decided to take some time out of your busy Sunday or football Sunday to watch me and listen to me. So, like I said, tune in next week, Sunday, 6 p.m. I'll be sending out an email with the replay. If you want to get on my email list, just go to my website. You can get on my email list. And there's also a Empowered Women's Travel checklist that you can download if you're ready to travel or start thinking about traveling. So this is Priscilla with Cilla Travel signing off, hoping that you have a great rest of your day, or in the morning when you see it. Maybe you're going to see it during your lunchtime. Maybe you're just going to look at it before you go to bed. But this is Priscilla with Cilla Travel, helping you live the dream through travel. And yeah, one more thing, as always, remember to